Let's see. We are live. Come on. I need the button over here.
All right.
All right. It looks like we're live in two places. Let's see if we are live on Facebook as well. Hi, Valen. Welcome
Hello.
back.
Hello, Nakia. Hello. Thank you.
I am glad that we're able to do. Okay. So we are live on. Okay. We're live on Facebook as well. All right. So
Nice.
I'm glad that we're able to do session 2 of our 4-part series,
Mhm.
Soft and Strong Therapy versus Coaching. The real answers of how our modalities line up and how they're
Mhm.
different and how they can support each other.
Yes.
So, how's your week been?
My week has been pretty relaxing, but productive. I
Okay.
feel like I've given myself a lot of space to kind of enjoy this time, but also kind of keep the ball rolling of gaining more confidence in my expertise and kind of just being outside and showing people that I may be the person that they are looking for if they want to take some more action in creating the life that they want. So it's been pretty well. How about yourself? What's been going on with you?
It's been great. Hi, Shanika. Thank you for joining us. I see her joining us over on Instagram. I think my week it definitely has been productive. I don't know if I could say relaxing. This afternoon will be relaxing once we're done. I'm going to do something therapeutic. I'm going to plant some flowers with my granddaughter. We're going to do them in the pot. But um, I would say that it has been very productive, not a ton of relaxation, not extra
Mm-hmm.
relaxation. Today, I'm rocking our son's alma mater because we went up and brought some of his stuff home from school. He is surprisingly finishing his first year of college, the end of his freshman year. He comes
Mm-hmm.
home officially on Wednesday. So this morning, that's what we did. We went and brought half of his things home. So we have less to move home on Wednesday. So, yeah.
Nice. Fun. Nice little
Yes.
transitions. Congratulations to him.
Yes. I'm so excited for him. He's had such a great year. So,
Cool. Cool. Well, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Valen Hawkins. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am the president of Valen Therapy and Leadership Development, where we create empowering spaces for adults to build confidence in their decision making and take purposeful action towards the life that they want. All right.
and I am Nakia Fleming. I'm the founder of Wildflower Lifestyle Coaching. I'm an empowered action coach. I primarily help women between the ages of 30 and 50 who are going through life transitions, whether that is a career change, a relationship change, or even just some self discovery. I offer you support during this time, some clarity and community while you're making these transitions.
Nice. All right. So as we start our second talk in the series, just want to do a disclaimer before we get started. Everything we share here is meant to support and inspire you, not to replace therapy. So if you need some sort of personal support, we definitely recommend connecting with a local licensed professional development. Excuse me, mental health professional in your area because you really deserve that like one-on-one care and support. So as we start into our topic today, which is therapy versus coaching, I'm going to go ahead and ask Nikia the first question. And the first question is, what is coaching to you?
Coaching to me, I wrote out quite a bit. So I'm gonna read some of this stuff. I don't know this off of hand, but I can be very wordy. So coaching to me is future focus. It is as a lifestyle and wellness coach, my role is support women to get clear about what
Mhm.
they want, whether it's more peace, purpose, or energy. and building a personalized roadmap. It's a roadmap for them. It isn't necessarily to serve me. It is what is best for my client. And my way of doing things is not their answer of a way to do things. It is not a replacement for therapy. And it may look like creating a daily journal practice, reconnecting with your inner voice, tracking habits, looking at things that cause sabotage. Like, what is the thing that keeps you from making these changes? What were you taught as a child? What did you hear growing up? What life experiences keeps you from moving forward or making the choices to create the life that you want? And so there are definitely some behaviors that to let somebody know if they're ready for coaching. I would say if it's someone who's researching a how-to content, like they feel stuck and they're online looking for how to do this or how to start a weight loss program, how to track my sleeping better, how to have tough conversations. That is someone who may be looking for coaching. They journal or vent about the same struggle over and over again, and they're just not coming to a resolution. They may not have come up with the answer. They may, I offer a different perspective. So then they have like, oh, well, maybe let's look at it this way, or let's try it this way. You've been doing it this one way forever, or this is the only way you know how to do it. Let me offer you some other solutions, or we can come up together with solutions that might work for you. If they're tired of DIYing their growth, I looked for a coach because I was trying to DIY my growth. There were so many things that I did not have the answer for. I was walking through things that people in my family or in my circle were not walking through, had not walked through, or just weren't sharing how they walked through it. And so I had to find it on my own. And having support, finding somebody to give me some of those answers was so helpful. It made the work a little easier. It made me not have to look as far. If you're seeking out conversations from friends and mentors, but again, you're not getting the support that you need, you're in your circle, and there's nothing wrong with your circle, but they may not have walked through these things, or they may not have an answer that suits you. You may have tried it their way and that doesn't work for you. So we're going to offer a different perspective, different modalities, and just kind of definitely look at what is the thing that's standing in your way. A lot of times there's something sitting back there that's keeping us from moving forward. If you notice the difference, the gap between your desire and what your habits are. So if you desire to move your body for 30 minutes 3 times a week, what is stopping you? What is getting in your way? What is the thing? Like, do we need to shift the schedule? Is there something that maybe it needs to look very different? And if you're investing in self-care activities and growth activities, but you're not necessarily getting the result, or the habit isn't sticking, or you're invested in something and you really don't like it, you know what you're looking for, you just aren't finding it, this is another way to have that support. And if you're using phrases like, I know what I want, I just need help getting here, I feel like something's standing in my way, you need someone to hold you accountable, that's a lot of time. You don't want to waste another year feeling like this. Like, you have this feeling that you want something more, but you haven't gotten the clarity of what that more is. And so those are definitely things that I think is the difference between coaching and therapy. In short, when someone starts realizing that they want real change and it's not inspiration, they start moving closer to coaching. They really want support. Like, this sounds like a good idea. It does sound like something that I want. I'm sure in my core that I want to make this change. Then I'm going to go and look for some help. And that's when people move towards therapy.
Yeah, I love your explanation of coaching, because one of the things that you said that really stood out to me is how you offer different perspectives. And you use the word offer a lot, which kind of let me know that it's not like a push, it's not like a demand, or it's more like a suggestion. It's more like, hey, this is a different way to think about things. Because sometimes, and I think that goes for everybody, we all kind of can get into our own heads or kind of get in our own way and have blinders on where we're only seeing one solution or one outcome. But if someone comes in that's, supportive, open, generous, considerate, and like confident in their skills, they'll be able to offer certain perspectives and get that client or that person that you're speaking to kind of like buy in to try and get out at least.
Yes. And sometimes it's just exposure, right? So if you've never been exposed to this idea, if you've never been exposed to and you've not had the support, I offer a very judgmental space, non-judgmental space, a very safe space for you to say, like, what is your wildest dream and how do we work backwards to get there? As opposed to somebody in your circle may, share that, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to them, or they may project their own fear, or they may have watched someone else do this and it not succeed, and then they shared this with you. That's one of the reasons that people pause. Like, somebody else's opinion is what gets in your way. So again, in exposure, like, I didn't have exposure to some of the things that I learned and added to my life. It's not something that anybody in my circle was doing. And so it looked very different. It didn't look like people in my demographic were doing them. I mean, not close to me, further away for sure. So I really had to go looking for that. And I want to make it easier for other women.
Yeah, I love that. That was spot on and super clear for who's watching to kind of understand what coaching can look like for you when you are ready to decide to invest in yourself.
Yes. So can you tell me your definition of therapy and what that looks like?
Oh, yes. So when I think of therapy, I think of it being a support aimed to relieve emotional distress and kind of improve individuals and family members' outlook on themselves, their relationship with other people around them, and the world that they live in, their communities. Some of the things that are kind of like telltale signs that I've noticed for clients seeking therapy or kind of like at the beginning stages of wanting therapy is kind of noticing a disruption or a disconnect from their well-being, where they want to be versus where they are today, kind of what they're looking at in the mirror. And then kind of not finding pleasure in daily activities or things that they've used to do in the past. Another thing is just disconnection with relationships, communication challenges, or just not being able to kind of connect with individuals on interests and hobbies. They might feel kind of like an oddball out sometimes when they are trying to figure out what's going on with them and if therapy is something that they should be kind of thinking about. Another thing about therapy is kind of performance. You'll start noticing that sometimes people have short attention spans. They might not be able to focus on the daily living tasks, such as getting up, brushing your teeth, washing your face, cleaning your room, or on another hand, kind of managing challenges at work and kind of the changes, the ever changes of working for someone in a corporation or a agency. Kind of having to go with the flow is a little bit difficult for people who may be seeking or might need to seek therapy. I really look at therapy as like a block. Similar to what you said about coaching, it really starts with what are the symptoms? What are the things that are blocking you from typically living your everyday life? I said some of the things like brushing your teeth, washing your face, cleaning your room, but also things at work, not being able to manage daily tasks at work. But it also kind of goes to if you're in school, not being able to stay up to date with the due dates, not being able to ask for help if you're confused on what the professor or the teacher needs or requires of you to get a passing grade. Some of the things that therapy really focuses on is just healing the past and the present emotional struggles and mental struggles. But one of the main things that I think is different from coaching versus therapy is that we use what we call the DSM, which is the diagnostical statistical manual. It's always such a hard word because it truly is like our therapy Bible. Everything that we need in there to assess and diagnose and actually create a whole treatment plan, kind of from like start to finish, is in that textbook. And we call it the DSM. Right now we are on I think version 5. So the cool thing about the DSM is that psychologists, therapists, social workers, we all use that same book, and it's based on like clinical research. So it's based on trials, community trials, cultural considerations. So it's not just focused and taken from one perspective, one cultural perspective. It is a nice, well-rounded perspective of how to assess a client who has specific symptoms and how to get them from having these symptoms impairing their daily functioning versus being able to get them to a better functioning state. And it's really often updated. Like I mentioned, we're on version 5. 5TR actually. So this is like version 5.0, which is really cool. And this DSM, this manual, was published by the American Psychiatric Association. And this manual is very specific with its criteria. And it follows specific details that helps us diagnose our clients and give them the proper steps on how to get from point A to point B. And some of the things that we have to assess when we are treating any of our clients from start to finish is the onset, which is when did you start noticing these symptoms, these blocks that are kind of impairing your functioning. You won't be able to go to work. You can't have meaningful relationships. You struggle with staying on task at home or at work or at school. So the onset, when did you start noticing these things kind of like messing you up? The second is frequency. So how often do you notice that these symptoms or behaviors or these blocks are kind of messing you up? How often? Is it one time? Is it 2 times? Heck, is it every day? Is it something that you're noticing that is happening ongoing? The next one is duration. So for how long? So if you said, for example, I noticed a month ago, I started having moments of I couldn't breathe. I was having shortness of breath. I was getting hot. I was feeling restless. Okay, so that was about a month ago. That was the onset. The frequency, maybe it was happening 3 times a week. Those symptoms or those behaviors were happening to me, let's say, 3 times a week. The duration is, well, for how long? I mentioned it was happening for the past month. And then the next one is intensity. So how intense were these shortness of breath, hot flashes, anxiety moments where I couldn't stop thinking about the same negative thought, let's say. Say it was on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super extreme, can't handle, 1 being not that much, I can handle it. Let's say it was at like a 7. So on the intensity level. So it was pretty up there, kind of moderate, I would say. And then the last thing would be, how are all these behaviors? So the shortness of breath, me being hot, all these rushing thoughts that I can't control. What is that stopping me from doing? Is really what therapy looks for. And it's stopping me, let's say, from having meaningful relationships in my social life. Let's say it's stopping me from being productive at work because I'm like constantly thinking about the worst case scenarios and it's stopping me from doing what I need to do at work. Let's say something like that. So those are a couple of impairments that therapy needs to pay attention to, because that is one of the main indicators to let us know that this person is needing some sort of mental health services, because it's a lot of emotional distress that's impacting their functioning. And then, like I mentioned, it is highly regulated therapy, because for me, as a marriage and family therapist, I have a board and ethical code that I have to follow. It is heavily regulated by, for me, the Board of Behavioral Sciences for California. We also have the California Board of Psychology and the American Psychiatric Association as well, all in California, that kind of assess, track, and make sure that we are up to code and we are providing epic care and clinical considerations for all of our clients that we're working with, but also making sure that we do no harm as well. So that's some of the things that when I think about therapy, it's a lot of moving parts and a lot of details, but the main thing is we have clinical criteria that help us point to what some clients are struggling with or what's kind of blocking them from living their life. And then we also have, so after the criteria, we also have like a game plan, a treatment plan that is clinically proven and research proven that can help those clients get through the blocks that they have and to have a more functioning life. Mm-hmm.
That sounds so needed and so necessary. I do feel like therapy is very much past and present, and coaching is very much future, present and future. And I do think that they can go hand in hand. I again endorse therapy over coaching. That isn't that's not me being humble. I very much do believe that even before I can help you, there may be some things that you need to work out in therapy. So if we have an initial session together and we're trying to figure out if I'm a good fit and if you're a good fit, I'm definitely going to send, if I feel like therapy is a need, or I'm going to suggest it. I'm also going to ask if you've ever had it and how you feel about it. A lot of times I did coach with someone who it didn't seem like she necessarily needed therapy. She said she had a therapist. We were coaching together. And then the more we coached together, there were some things that she began to unpack. And so she went to therapy and I walked alongside of her still as her coach for some other things. And she had a really great outcome. There have been some clients that I have started an interview with and I was not for them. I can't make someone go to therapy. And definitely if I'm suggesting it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It just means that to get what you want and to get what you need is very much, it's my job to say, you should probably do this. And I'm going to suggest that. And you get to decide how you want to move forward. I think I love that your profession is very heavily governed. My profession is not as heavily governed. However, we do, under our certification, we do have some guidelines. It isn't regulated as heavily, but I do think that if you're a person of integrity, I know as a nurse, like my job is always first do no harm. And so I don't ever want to be a cause to someone who, to be a cause of someone having a terrible outcome. I definitely go to my mentors. I definitely speak to my therapist about things. And I do follow the rules that are close. That is part of our certification so that I know like this is where my lane ends and somebody else's starts. So.
Right. You know, you talked about waiting or like figuring out when to do therapy or when to do coaching or which one comes first. And it kind of made me think about like the Monopoly game about not passing go. So sometimes you have to allow yourself to pass go. And sometimes therapy is that moment where you need to pause and kind of deal with some of the baggage that coaching can support on some level, but you kind of want to do some of that hard kind of getting dirty, getting deep in your past first. So you can then use that nice solid foundation that you're building on to propel you to the future, which coaching can help you get more clear on. So kind of unlocking access to that next version of you is kind of how I'm looking at it. It's like therapy, you you kind of pass go, and then you have the whole game board to
Yeah.
access. And you can buy property then if we're
Yeah.
thinking of Monopoly.
Therapy opens those doors that you have that are blocking you from getting further, right? So when you think about, so for me, there's some times where you're like, why can I not commit to this? Why can't I stick to this? It isn't just necessarily a time. It isn't necessarily a scheduling issue. It isn't necessarily just a circumstantial issue. When you look past that, it may be something that you're holding on to from your past. And that isn't for me to unpack. It is something for me to walk you hand in hand to maybe to a different professional to say, like, let's unpack this. And then once it's unpacked, we're going to continue on our game board. We're going to continue to, and I do think that that we can walk side by side. Our modalities go well together. They're both very necessary. I wish that they were accessible to both people, to both, to everyone easily. But as we know in this country, healthcare of any kind is very challenging for us. So I do think that you're going to spend your money where you feel like it's valuable and where it's needed and what is important to you. And if feeling better is important to you, then you're going to figure out how to make it happen. So
absolutely. And then with so much access to other people's points of view and how other people live, and just access to knowledge with our phones being such how do I want to say knowledge grabbers in my eyes, that we can have a question in our mind pop up, we can type it in our phone or say it in our phone, and we get some sort of feedback, some sort of starting point that we can figure out what to do with next. We have little breadcrumbs that I think that if we give ourselves permission to, if we have a question, or we might feel stuck, or we're unsure, or we have those how-to questions, kind of just going to Google and asking our phones. We use it for so many other things. Why not use it to get research on how to become better human beings?
Yes. And for me, when you start doing that, that is when you need to start looking for a therapist and a coach. That's when you need to start leaning into that. Because not that the internet can't help you, but there isn't something on the internet that's going to answer, to speak back to you, to give you some of that clarity that you're seeking. So Valen, tell me what your specific approach is to guiding your client from point A to point B.
Ooh, yes. So I really look at therapy as a tool that offers individuals and their family members like space to honor their human experience, to kind of walk alongside with them through clinically proven processes that can help someone become better in their functioning, kind of living day by day tasks. So in my mental health therapy online, I help teens and professional women struggling with being stuck in their thoughts and their actions take an active role in creating the life that they want, so they can kind of slow down to speed up and kind of see more of the life that they want to live. So I have this framework that I've come up with, and it's called action. So you first activate kind of what you don't like in your life. You kind of get a more clear understanding of the things that you want to shift and change. And then you kind of compare and contrast. You kind of gather the things that you don't like in your life, and you start kind of doing research. You start becoming more resourceful at the very beginning, and you ask around. You ask for data, evidence, to give yourself true understanding of why you want to change these things in your life. And then you test that theory. So now you have the things that you don't like. You have the information from people that you trust around you telling you, that this is a good move. Let's say, for example, trying to take a 5-minute break every day for yourself at work. Sometimes that's a struggle for me. I work in an office, and being in the office, it's so easy to kind of just tune out everything else and just type really, really fast. But I've learned that it is not sustainable to go into the office, spend 8 hours behind a computer desk and have no sunlight. So let's say that person notices they've activated, all right, I need to get outside. I don't like what staying in the office for 8 hours, 5 days a week is doing to my body. So that's the thing I want to change. I want to get outside for at least 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So then they ask people around in their family or in their friends, okay, how do you guys get out of the office? How do you guys disrupt your office day, your work day to insert some healthy self-care? Like, how do you eat sometimes when you are trying to finish a project or a product? So then you test that theory, you get that information, and you go out into the world and you give yourself permission to try it out. So you might not be able to do it all 5 days, but let's say you get in there and you do it once, maybe twice. Okay, cool. Then you start going down to identifying choices. You start recognizing, well, if I did this for myself, I got outside 5 minutes 2 times a week, and it actually increased my mood. It actually made me feel more productive that day. So you start kind of figuring out how this new behavior being inserted into your life, how it can give you more of what you want. So then you start observing the outcomes and you start kind of noticing, if you just insert that one thing, 5 minutes, at least 3 times a week outside of your office, how is that action going to improve every other area in your life? Who knows? Let's see. Health wise, you will be able to get some sun instead of being in an office. What is it called? Taking yourself away from vitamin C. You're getting some movement on your body, so that's healthy as well. You'll feel proud of yourself, some personal development, that you are practicing what you're telling someone else, and that you're keeping the promises to yourself.
Mhm.
You will also kind of probably be more productive because you give yourself that little disruption during the day. You get back and you feel a lot more confident, a lot more motivated, a lot more at ease. You can probably handle more of whatever your workload or clients or just your agency might have to throw at you for the rest of the day. You might honestly be more at a better state to handle things that come your way. So then after you observe all the outcomes and you start noticing, if I put this 3 times a day, 3 times a week, 5 minutes a day, how is that really helping my life? How is that really getting me to feel more productive? How is that really getting me to see more of the life that I want? Then what you do, you just nourish that new relationship, because what you did was just made a connection that if I insert this new behavior, it's going to produce a different outcome that's more pleasurable and getting me closer to the life that I want. So what do? You give yourself grace when you try to insert that new behavior. You give affirmations to it, telling yourself that I know it's difficult, but eventually it will become like second nature.
Mhm.
And then you just keep maintaining that action over and over and over again. So then eventually you'll look up and it will be what I like to call a default behavior, something that you don't have to think about, something that is just automatically what you now do. So that is how I take all of my clients and my approach to therapy: action. Activate, you compromise, you test the theory, you identify the choices, you observe the outcomes, and then you nourish that new relationship.
So you basically stole exactly what I do with my clients, but yours is very much mental health based. It's so funny as you're talking, as you're saying this, I'm like, yep, and yep,
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
much so. It is absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons we very much align,
Yeah.
because we have the same thought process and the same way that we get our clients from point A to point B. It is through, for me, like through reflective awareness, intentional
Mm-hmm.
vision setting, strategic action planning, and some deep empowerment work. Like you've done this 5 minutes sounded hard. Now you've looked back, and now instead of it being 5 minutes that you're doing it, you've turned it into 15. You've managed to take 15 minutes for yourself 3 times a week to do this. And now you're proud of
Mm-hmm.
it. And then it gives you a little bit of boost to do the next thing that you thought was hard. And that becomes, like you said, a default action. It becomes a healthy habit that it just is a non-negotiable for you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what somebody else is doing. Like, I'm going outside. Same for me. Like, I
Yes.
don't care what y'all got going on. I'm going to work out. I'm not going to take away from you, but this is a non-negotiable in my schedule. I put it in my schedule because I'm a much better person after I've moved my body. I'm not going to eat this because it's going to make me feel like this. What is the end goal? So
Right.
very much, I guide my clients through the overwhelm of life with clarity, confidence, and meaningful action. Like, I'm going to give you the task. Like, it is we're going to talk about the mental blocks behind it, right? Like, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about the things that you think are getting in the way and figure out what the roadblocks are. And we're going to work around the roadblocks. Like you said, if you don't have 30 minutes, if you don't have 15 minutes, it's 5 minutes. You can commit to 5 minutes. You scroll
Mm-hmm.
online, I do, for 5 minutes. So you can
Yes.
complain for 5 minutes. Take that complaint outside. You can still
Mm-hmm.
complain. You're going to complain about it in the sun. Eventually, that complaint will turn into a space of gratitude instead of a place of toxicity. So it's very much, I do think that we follow very much the same tools. I use
Mm-hmm.
awareness and reflection. Like, why do you do this? Why don't you do that? Like, what are the things that are stopping you? A lot of times
Right.
it's our season of life. It may be, like you said, you're in an office and this is your season to be in this office, but that doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that you still don't want to have good movement. That still
Right.
doesn't mean that you don't want to enjoy the weather that you live in. So even though your season currently has you, and this may be forever and it may be temporary, it has you in an office for 8 hours a day. Well, I'm going to create some pockets of joy while I'm in this season doing this. If you're in the
Right.
season of littles and you feel like I can't do this because of this, it doesn't have to look a certain way. And you
Mm-hmm.
may only get 15 minutes of exercise every day, but 15 minutes is better than none. You may only get to have 10 minutes of quiet time. 10 minutes of quiet can reset your whole nervous system. It can really change the trajectory of your day. If you take 10 minutes away from your family and breathe and either meditate or just relax your shoulders or be in silence,
Mm-hmm.
you can walk back into whatever chaos happens to be in your kitchen or living room and you're different. You can see it very different. You can step away from it and be like, okay, now I'm ready to tackle this. So
Yes.
pouring into yourself for small moments of time really help. I do
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of having a strategy and a structure. You
Yeah.
can't, I just call it kind of free balling it. Like, you can't do that your whole life. Like, you can't just, I can't function on a wing and a prayer, a wish and a prayer. Like, it's not
No,
happening.
it's
I'm
not.
getting nothing done.
Imagine going somewhere for the first time and not choosing to put on GPS. You will get lost. You
Yes.
will spend so much more time trying to find where you're going that you have no idea where you're supposed to be going,
Right.
but you have to take it upon yourself to figure it out. You will go left when you're supposed to be going right. You're supposed to be
Hmm.
going forward when sometimes you might be getting stuck or moving backwards. So I look
Hmm.
at it really as, and you said it, awareness and self-reflection. It really does start with knowing what you don't like about your life and asking yourself and having a clear understanding of what you want it to really look like. Because
Yes.
we can all say what we don't like about our life. We absolutely can. But the flip side is, well, what do you want your life to look like?
Right.
What would you rather have your life be like? Dot
Hmm.
dot dot. And that's where a lot of people really need the reflection and the self-awareness And that's why I think for both of us, it's at the very beginning of our approach, our way of taking clients through,
Yes.
because we can't go in this thing blindly. We have to have some sort of roadmap to making sure that we are staying the course. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to keep driving past that same yellow house with that same yellow house. Like, I keep seeing this.
Right. Frustrated.
Yes, because you're circling the block for no reason. Very much so. I do think empowerment is important. I think that having another professional, an unbiased opinion really helps you to feel like I can make this change. You feel empowered by every small little win. Every little thing that you set out to do that you accomplish becomes a win, and you get to build on that, right? Like, so if I didn't get in 3 45-minute workouts this week, did I get in 3 10-minute walks? Yep. And I got 3 10-minute walks in. And so next week I'm going to try to get 4, or I'm going to try to make my walks a little longer. I am going to be able to exercise the right to say, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. I'm going to set a boundary, and I'm going to honor this boundary. It is going to be hard. It is going to be painful, and I'm going to feel some anxiety around it. However, the first time I said it, I walk away and somebody honors it, it's going to give me the courage to do it again. Because ultimately, the only way you're going to get what you want is to ask for it. First, you have to know what it is. Ask for it, stand in it, work towards it, and then keep repeating the same thing.
So. Yes, because it's not you versus me. It's me versus me yesterday. It is me versus me 2 weeks ago. It's the not comparison thing. It's what am I doing that I like, and what am I doing that I don't like? Right. And let's go ahead and taper off some of the things that I don't like to give space to do more of the things that I do like. And it really is a me versus me yesterday or 2 weeks ago, not a me versus you or a me versus anyone.
Right. And one way that I like to give an example, and I remind myself of this, I would love to be a runner. I would love to be able to put on my shoes and take off out the door and get my workout done, because I don't love cardio. Get my workout done, come home, take a shower, and move along with my day, right? I have tried running countless times. It is not for me. It is not the exercise for me. My body doesn't like it. My brain can't get it together. But when I get this great idea that I'm going to start running again, do you know what happens? I stop working out altogether. I dislike, and my body dislikes running so much, I don't move. I don't do anything. So why would I keep trying to do something that doesn't actually work for me? It looks great for other people. It is not meant for me. But what I am consistent about is Pilates and yoga and weightlifting. So those are the things that I have to do to nourish me, so that I keep showing up for me to get what I want on the other side. If I was just using running, no, it would just never work. I've tried it. I did the research, like you said. I did the research. I investigated it. I tried it. It doesn't work. I can't go back to it. And if I didn't have someone to remind me to do the things that made me happy, not just the things that look great on other people, then I would be circling the block about running and would never hit a goal. So,
well said. Well said. You're talking about like just slowing down to really tell yourself that even though other people can do it, that doesn't mean that it has to be a part of like my feel good or my what brings me joy. Because I have something similar. I'm trying to kind of get back into working out consistently, but the way that my schedule is set up, I can't go into the gym. I can't go into some of the hot yoga classes or the extreme step classes that I enjoy. So what I do to kind of give myself still some of that love and attention and joy throughout the day is I just turn on Alexa and kind of dance through my house. Yeah. My husband bought me this really cool step board. So I kind of just pull it out and give myself 5, 10, 15 minutes to insert my joyful moment in my day. But that was a long time coming, because I had to tell myself or kind of take myself off the hook. Like, yes, I can't get to the gym. Yes, I can't get to those dance classes that I really, really love that give me so much joy, but I can edit it. I can tweak it a little bit. And it still gives me some pleasure, still give me some joy, even though what I really want to do, I can't physically do with my schedule constraints right now. So just giving yourself kind of what I said last week, guys, grace and space to make mistakes and to like keep trying. We are only human beings out here, and we only have, let's say, 100% of focus. So we really have to be mindful of where our attention and focus goes.
Yes. And I love that you said where your schedule is now, because that won't always be your schedule. And you get to work towards creating the schedule and the life that you want to be able to facilitate those classes. But in the meantime, I'm building towards it. By the time you get to the step classes, it won't be years of wasted. Like I could have been doing this dance all this time. No, you've been dancing like this for all of this time, and now you're fit and you're ready to do this class. It fits into your current plan. So I love that. I do think that I'm very much a seasons person. I talk about seasons a lot because we go through so many of them. I've been through a lot of seasons. And so I do feel like recognizing this is the season that you're in, and what can I do in this season? What is the universe going to allow for me season? And then what do I want for the next season? What does the next season hold? And sometimes that same season repeats itself for a while, but it will change. It changes. We know this. It changes. Things change. People grow. You mature. Your children get older. Your job shifts. You can move, you get to move home, or you have to move back into the office. Like, things change. And so let's have an anchor so that when things do change, we are still grounded. We're still in a good place. And then we're going to adjust based on what our season looks like. So
very true. Very true. And that kind of goes into what we're talking about next, Nakia. Like, that was spot on, because we're talking about the life wheel next, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so pointed because we have to pay attention to how our life is really made up of different areas. And kind of like how I said before, we have 100% of focus, 100% of attention. And all of these areas require our attention and our focus. So we wonder for everybody, how satisfied are you guys in these different areas that create what we like to say the human experience?
Yes. I want to pull up the wheel of life. I'm going to add it to our stage here, Valen. And so this is what we will be talking about next week. On the 14th. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We are going to be talking about how to honor these spaces. And I'm very excited to be able to do that. This is one of my favorite things. It can be a little humbling. It can be, it really puts your life into perspective. It tells you what you need to nourish and what you don't. So I'm looking forward to that. That is for us that we're going to do on the 14th of May at 7 p.m. Central Standard, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be in these same spaces. Please join us. We would love to hear your feedback. I am going to make it into a digital download, and we will be able to share it with everybody who is in our communities so that you guys can do some of this evaluation. And then the following week, you can come back and tell us a little bit about your life wheel. If you don't want to share on socials, you can either meet up with Valen or I in our DM so we can discuss what's going on in your life wheel. And then on the 21st, we are going to play Going Down Feelings Lane. And I'm super excited to play that game. This is what was the catalyst of us getting together. Valen and I, she did this with my husband at Tabsy, and they did his version, and we're going to do our version. And so I'm looking forward to that. But more than anything, thank you for this time, Valen. I appreciate it. I appreciate your expertise. I appreciate anybody who is pouring into themselves and doing better for their mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is important to tap into this. Your health is your wealth. That's all you have. And we do need great physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental health.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Nakia. I am honored once again to be asked to be a part of the series. And truly, for everyone who's listening now and later, this is a informational series, but it's also a self-reflection moment for you to kind of pause and give yourself some nuggets, some joy, some additional ways to kind of praise yourself and show up for yourself and really see yourself as resourceful. Because in that life you'll notice that there are areas in your life that you are highly satisfied in. So why would we touch them? Right. So that just really lets us know that there are areas in your life that you're doing really, really well at. No one is failing at everything. We're telling you that right now. No one is failing at everything. There are areas where you succeed, where you do well, where you flourish. And we want to remind you that everyone has those areas and those moments where they're resourceful. And this series is going to hopefully continue to help you understand that it's just little small tweaks and little suggestions that we hope that you pick up to kind of apply and see if it test this theory, see if it works for your life. Yeah.
Yes. All right. I look forward to connecting with everyone on here. I look forward to seeing you later this week.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. So we will see you guys later. Please follow us on socials. Keep up with whatever else we're putting out there. Get in touch with Valen if you feel like you need some mental health services. Not because you're in crisis, just because you want to feel better and you would like some more direction. Get a hold of me if you want some tasks and some empowering action. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Valen, and I'll see you later this week.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Nakia. See you this week. Bye.
Bye-bye.